now it's 12 noon. Good Friday afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the last day, unfortunately, of ICF Singapore's International Coaching Week 2020. My name is Adrian Lim, your host for this session. Thanks again for joining us. This afternoon, we have Benedict Lim. He will join us at 1:30 to speak on the topic, how to pivot, protect, and profit amidst VVUCA times. But now, we bring you our ever familiar Erin Lee, who will take us on a mindfulness journey as we prepare for the webinar. Let me just say a few words about Erin. So Erin's a very familiar face to all of us. We're already, I think we're on webinar number 15, and she needs no introduction, but let me just say that Erin is the founder and mindfulness coach of Mindful Moments of Singapore. She is a mindfulness practitioner. She's an advocate of mindfulness as a way of life. Her personal vision to help more and more people learn mindfulness skills and incorporate mindfulness practice into their daily lives to improve their well-being. Okay, enough being said. Let me hand you over now to Erin. Off you go, Erin.
Thank you, Adrian. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I hope you can hear me clearly. It's now bright and sunny over here in Singapore, and hope it's the same for you too, right? But regardless of the weather, I would like to take this session this afternoon to, I'd like to invite you to invite more stability and groundedness into our practice, into our body, okay? So what we're gonna do later is to just practice in stillness. And for this, I would encourage you to sit on a chair, all right? And if you're sitting on a chair, I actually encourage you to sit cross-legged on the chair if it's possible for you. So this lends a little bit more stability, all right? If you can't do that, then it's fine to just sit in a normal sitting posture on the chair, but just ensuring that your feet are flat on the floor, okay? And whether or not you are sitting cross-legged or just sitting regularly on the chair, we want to make sure that our back is straight. We're sitting up tall and wakeful, right? Because it's probably after lunch for a lot of us here, and we can get a little bit of food coma after a meal, right? So we want to ensure that we're as wakeful as possible. Okay, so before I start, just to introduce this practice a little bit, we're inviting stability to our posture and to sitting like me in the picture. Yes. So maybe I could just move back so you can all see the posture that I'm adopting, just to get a better idea. So I'm on a chair, just a regular chair, okay? And I'm choosing to sit cross-legged, like that. Okay, so this lends more contact with the chair, and this gives us a lot more stability, all right? So what's going to happen with this practice is we're going to make use of some very simple imagery, right? Visualizations to bring this stability into our body. And of course, visualization and imagery is not the key focus of any mindfulness practice. Mindfulness practice is always really about being able to be present with the reality of our experience, right? But sometimes we put in, we invite some imagery in just to help settle into the practice a little bit, right? And given that, from what I understand, coaches are very cognitive people, so a little bit of visualization may help as well. Okay. All right. So let's take a few moments to get into a posture. Right? You don't have to look exactly like me, as long as you're seated in a stable way, in a stable posture. All right. So we're just going to check on our posture, ensuring that we are sitting up straight and tall. So if you're scooting your back all the way to the back of the chair, just make sure that you're not slouching, all right? Just make sure that your spine is straight, okay? All right, shoulders relaxed, so there's no tension of the shoulders here, relaxing the shoulders. And your hands, you can place them on the knees. Some people like to flip them up like that. Some people like to just place them on the lap or just fold it in front of them, okay? So any way you wish, as long as you're comfortable. So for this practice, let's begin by keeping our eyes open. Right? Keep your eyes open, but you don't have to look at the screen. You don't have to look at me. So you may just lower your gaze to maybe the table or the floor in front of you. And let's begin by getting a sense of the space around us. Allowing your gaze to rest on a spot in front of you, and then opening your awareness to all that is around you. Inviting a lot of gentleness to this practice. And just becoming aware of what is present with you at this moment. So you might notice the presence of sound. The presence of colors. Getting a sense of the air, the space around the body. Even becoming aware of the space behind you. And from moment to moment, let's just be with what is. And then when you're ready, becoming aware of the body sitting here and breathing in and breathing out. Allowing the breath to be natural. So there's no need to regulate or try and control the breath in any way. Noticing how the body is breathing in and breathing out. And then if you're ready, and when you're ready, allowing the eyes to completely close. I encourage you to completely close your eyes for this practice. Resting your awareness on the breath, entering and leaving the body. Noticing one breath at a time. And as you rest in this stillness, in this awareness, I'd like to invite you now to bring to mind, without the need to force anything, bringing to mind one of the most beautiful mountains that you have ever seen or that you have ever known. The most beautiful mountain that you have ever seen or known. Without the need to force anything, just very gently allowing this image of the mountain to naturally arise in your mind. If you have a few images of mountains, just allowing the mind to settle on one. And then just gently holding this image of the mountain in your awareness. And we're just going to observe this mountain for a few moments. So looking at the shape, the size of this mountain, paying attention to the colors of this mountain, the textures, the patterns. Noticing the peak of this mountain against the sky or the horizon. Noticing the slopes, the sides of the mountain. And the base of the mountain, rooted to the earth. And just looking at this mountain from up close and from afar. And just sitting here and breathing with this image of the mountain. And now when you're ready, as you're gently holding this image of the mountain in the mind, getting a sense of the feeling that this mountain gives you, the qualities of this mountain. Noticing how massive this mountain is, how stable it is. Getting a sense of the grandness of this mountain. The solidness of this mountain. And so just sitting here, breathing in and out, holding the image of this mountain in your awareness, and noticing the qualities of this mountain. And now when you're ready, exploring the possibility of bringing this mountain into your body. In whatever way that makes the most sense to you, just inviting the qualities of this mountain into your body. So that as you sit here, your body experiences the qualities of this mountain. So in a way, the mountain and your body becomes one. So in this sitting posture, you experience the stability of this mountain, the groundedness of this mountain. Your body becomes the mountain. Your head is the peak, supported by the shoulders and the arms like the slopes of the mountain. And your hips and your legs are like the base of the mountain, rooted to the earth, grounding to the earth. So just sitting here and breathing in and breathing out, experiencing or sharing the same experience as the mountain. Still and stable and grounded. And all around the mountain, many things change. In different times of the day, night follows day and day follows night. Sometimes the sun shines bright in the sky, and the mountain meets with heat, the scorching sun. Sometimes meeting rain. Sometimes covered with fog. And sometimes the sky clears out all around the mountain. All around the mountain, everything changes. But the mountain simply sits. Unmoved by the changing conditions. So in a similar way, we can be just like the mountain. The body, the mind resting in this stillness, in this stability. Sometimes our awareness can be shrouded with thoughts, emotions, images, sounds. Sometimes we experience joy, sadness, anger, despair. At times, wakefulness. Other times, drowsiness. Whatever the conditions that are presented to us, knowing that we can be just like the mountain. We can come to know a stillness and stability within. No matter what conditions are present for us, our body and the mind simply sit. And now when you're ready, very gently, letting go of the image of the mountain from your awareness and returning your attention now to the body in the sitting posture and breathing in and breathing out. One moment at a time, just resting with the sensations of the body breathing in and breathing out. Following one breath at a time. If you find that the mind's attention has drifted off to somewhere else, all you need to do is to bring the attention back to the body once again, breathing in and breathing out. One inhalation at a time. One exhalation at a time. Now, when you're ready, I'd like to invite you to take a deep breath in and exhaling fully and just allowing the eyes to completely open. So just taking a few moments now, keeping the movement slow and just stretching out the hands, the arms, the legs, the back if you need to. And we've come to the end of our practice for this session. Thank you for practicing with me.
Thank you very much, Erin. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the time now here in Singapore is 1:25 in the afternoon. We will take the next 5 minutes to settle in before we begin at 1:30. Now's a good time. If you would like to make a run for the washroom or to get yourself a nice cold drink on this very warm Friday afternoon. So I will speak to you in 5 minutes.
When?
Why?
When?
So, don't know. Maybe a few years back.
Good Friday afternoon, everyone. It's now 1:30 here in Singapore. I'm sure you're having a wonderful day. Good afternoon to those who are calling in, who are joining us also from Australia and New Zealand. Good morning, good Friday morning to our friends in Europe and in the Africas. Thank you for joining us. Today, unfortunately, is the last day of our International Coaching Week, and this is our second last webinar. So glad you can join us. My name is Adrian, and I'm your host. Together with me is a whole team that's working in the behind the scenes. We've got Jada, our Zoom expert. We've got a whole bunch of other ICF and ICW colleagues joining us. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. So good to see so many familiar faces too. I'm really excited about this afternoon's speaker. He is Benedict Lim, and he'll be touching on the topic, how to pivot, protect, and profit amidst VVUCA times. But before we begin, Here are some housekeeping rules to ensure a smooth and productive webinar. Please mute your microphone throughout the webinar. All attendees will be on mute by default, except for open floor segments. If you have a question, or if you would like to share a thought or comment, please type it into the chat box on the right. You can access the chat box by going to the menu bar at the bottom and click the chat button. There will be Q&As at various points for Ben to respond to your questions. By attending this webinar in full, you will receive 1.5 Continual Coach Education Units, or CCEUs. Now, this part is important. In order to receive your CCEU certificate, you must attend this live webinar in full. Partial CCEUs will not be issued. And at the end of this webinar, you will be shown a QR code and a link that will lead you to an online form. This online form collects your certificate details and also gathers your feedback. So please make sure that your full name and your email address are provided on this, via this link, so that we can issue you your certificate. We will not issue a certificate if you do not apply via this link. CCEU application will close 24 hours after this webinar, and you will receive your certificate by June 2020. I'd now like to say a big thank you to our sponsors, beginning with our platinum sponsor, Emergenetics. Emergenetics helps people and organizations improve communication, collaboration, and culture, results in different processes. Here's the goodie. Emergenetics is giving away free to every attendee a virtual gift pack worth 350 Singapore dollars, consisting of an Emergenetics profile and access to online resources, including a special webinar on enhancing your coaching experience with Emergenetics. So please look out for an email with instructions that will be sent to you after ICW 2020. We'd also like to thank our other sponsors, the coaching app. So check out the app at www.thecoachingapp.com. The coaching app puts a C-suite executive coach in your pocket, all the knowledge, guidance, and tools you need to put yourself at the center of your universe and make your personal development a reality. Starting point, the authorized provider of everything DISC certification and solutions, 5 behaviors of a cohesive team and building trust solutions. They specialize in customized workshops and coaching for leadership and organizational development and transformation. We've also got the Coach Partnership, who brought the new Field suite of coach training programs to Asia since 2010. Newfield has been the world's leading ontological methodology since 1991. And since then, over 65,000 graduates worldwide have graduated from their program. It is recognized as the gold standard within the ICF network of coach certification programs. All right, before I bring up our speaker, we're going to do something different today. And I'm going to stop share because I'd like all of us to come on live with your cameras, please. We're going to take our group photo this time for this webinar. We'll do it right now. So can I invite everyone to come on live, please? Suchitra, we're waiting to see you. All right. And in true ICF fashion, lovely faces. Emma, I see a white wall there. In true ICF fashion, if I could invite you again, letter I, letter C, or letter W, please. Okie dokie. And our photographer's on standby. Jada, you're good to go? Hold it for 5 minutes, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much. All taken. Wonderful.
Very good. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Jada. Okie dokes. Back to business. All right. Let me say a few words about our speaker for this afternoon. So Benedict Lim is CEO and Chief Psychologist at iGrow, a nationally recognized psychological consulting firm that specializes in happiness at work, family, and life. Since the inception in 2009, iGrow has worked with more than 450 Fortune 500 MNCs and SMEs, completing over 700 consultancy projects. They've also conducted more than 5,000 coaching workshops, impacting more than 75,000 employees. Ben leads a team of 10 consultants, trainers, and coaches. His area of interest and expertise are in the cultivation of positive emotions, building psychological capital, happiness at work and life, workplace stress, mindfulness, emotional intelligence, resiliency, and managing change. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hand the floor over to Ben. So please welcome Benedict Lim.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you very much. And I just want to echo what Josephine was saying in the chat, that you have a very, very beautiful voice, right? I love your voice. And so nice. And it's a little bit strange listening to people introduce about yourself, listening to people talk about you. But coming from your voice, it made it a lot better. So thanks, everyone. And it's exciting for me to be here this afternoon to be sharing with you a little bit about my journey as a coach. And I'm just sharing my screen here so that you are able to see. And I just want to make this as interactive as possible with the limitations that we have. And I am likely to be asking you to kind of key into the chat and stuff like that. So please help me to know that you're still with me. It's in the afternoon, and I just want to thank all of you for joining me in the afternoon. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about my journey of how to protect, pivot, and prepare, because it was a difficult period, this pandemic, unprecedented, that caused a lot of disruptions to my business, my work, with my team, as well as with my clients. So I also want to, before we begin, I also want to give you an overview of what is going to happen. And I will start off talking a little bit about my story and the insights and the revelation that me and my team had, and how we pivot in our business, and how we have helped some of our the fellow coaches in pivoting their business as well. So there'll be a little bit of slides, and there'll be a little bit of doodlings, to kind of draw some frameworks that I hope you'll be able to find useful. And right at the end, in all true coaching fashion, I hope that we have a little bit of time to get into a breakout room for you to share your insights and your action, right? So we don't want to just be passive participants in the whole program and just receiving all these things. So that is the three components of what is going to happen for today, right? And I also want to apologize in advance in case my voice is too loud, too soft, I speak too fast, too slow, you can't understand my accent, or you can't read my handwriting or my doodlings. So I just want to apologize in advance first as we proceed into this, right? So I guess before we begin, just to give me a little bit of insights, I just noticed that my screen is not moving, so I'm just going to stop share and share again. So, I just want to have a little bit of context and understanding to where you are right now. So can I ask you to just key into the chat group right now to tell us which part of the world are you in right now, right? So just key into the chat, which part of the world are you at right now? And we just want to kind of appreciate a little bit about the diversity of all the people that are here in this room. So just key into the chat, which part of the world are you at right now, as I pull out my chat. Wonderful. It's so exciting to see all the chat kind of bursting with activity. And Miwa from Singapore, originally from Tokyo, Japan. You see a bunch of people that are from Singapore. Isabella, thank you, from Indonesia, that's joining us. And we have Moscow, wonderful. Thailand, Saudi Cup, for being here. Kenya, excellent, from the African continent. And we have Canada, we have Australians in Singapore. That's great, So it's fascinating how we have such a multitude of diversity of people within this virtual meeting. And the wonderful part about this is that it is possible because it is in a virtual manner, right? That we are all tuning in different time zones coming here. Thanks, Megan from Australia, and that joining us today. So it's exciting, you know. So we have people from all around the world, and they're so rich in experience. And I hope whatever I'll be sharing with you is relevant and applicable to you. And the next thing that I want to find out from you is what kind of clients do you coach? Of course, I have an underlying assumption that all of you are coaches, right, in some form or manner. And I hope it's a reasonable expectation. And thank you, Roberto, that you are just trying to start into coaching. That's great. Corporate clients, that's great. And if you can share a little bit about what your niche area, business leaders, thank you, Sonali, Doreen, people, managers, transitions. We have Pilar, that is coaching consultants, small business coaches, and leadership, women in transition, education, Kevin in corporate plus government. Well, there's a difficult job, C-suite, right? Pradeep, wonderful, you know, new managers, business leaders, all levels, Kevin coaching all levels, executives, and Kathy coaching teams, and Natalie in transitions, and Mark life coaching, team coaching, leadership, emerging leaders, all levels, PMETs, leaders, women, hospital staff, and that is indeed something, Kevin, I think you are doing a very important job, especially in this period, in coaching hospital staff, with all of them feeling overwhelmed with all the burden, and definitely something important and meaningful. And Megan CEOs and senior executives, and it's so amazing, you know. So even in this community, we have people that are addressing all the different spectrum of people, right? From corporate, non-corporate, transitions, job, no job. And, you know, with all these things, you know, that you have, and pro bono work for medical staff. Yeah, thanks, Miwa, for doing this. And that's really important. And, you know, all these different coaches, you know, it's a difficult period for us right now. I'm not sure how you're getting paid. And, you know, some of us are as generous as Miwa to do pro bono work because our heart just goes out to them. And, you know, for me, in my journey, as a psychologist, I had the opportunity, I call myself an accidental entrepreneur, right? So I didn't have any ambition or aspirations as I was growing up to run a business or to do my own thing. It kind of happened by chance. And as a psychologist, the first part of my career is in the executive search firm. Because as I graduated, I thought that as a psychologist or as a counselor, the only thing that is available to me are non-profit sector. So I better make sure that money is not my main priority, because my understanding of non-profit sector is that I'm not going to get a lot of money. So as an executive search, I get the opportunity to ask different groups of people across all the different like spectrum, different levels across industries, a very difficult question. Why are they leaving their job? And all this in a context of me helping them to find a good job. But actually, I was being a little bit nosy, right? And after about 3 years of being as an executive search, I finally made a decision that the corporate world is not my cup of tea, that I'm ready to jump into the nonprofit world to do the work that I feel more strongly with, right? So then I started to join the nonprofit sector in this organization called CARE Singapore, C-A-R-E. And basically we go to the schools and we tell them to give us the worst students. And for 1 whole year, we'll work with them, doing mentoring, doing coaching, doing counseling and stuff like that. And in the process of that 6-7 years that I've worked in the nonprofit sector, one of the things that I realized is that one-to-one, the youth are very good. But when they go back to the home environment, everything gets undone, right? When they go back to the home environment, the people that they're living with, the context that they are in, the environment that they're exposed to. Any of you kind of understand this, you know, like resonate this message that, you know, working with people, sometimes the environment that kind of has a large influence on them. Can you just key in why into the chat for yes, right? Why into the chat for yes, that yes, you know, that there are people that are affected by the environment. It's not just them. Just key why into the chat so that I know that this is something that you see as well. Thanks, Brea, Kevin, and the people. Jean, thank you, Saba. You know, that's right? So I realized that is that situation, that there's a lot of things that it's not necessarily because of them, but it could be the environment that they're exposed to. So then that was when me and my partner at that time, a fellow psychologist, started to think, you know, how can we reach out to the people that they are living with? Thanks, Carmen, peer pressure. Are you talking about peer pressure to respond yes into the chat, or peer pressure that they're exposed to? So, yes, and so they're exposed to all these things. And so we were thinking, thanks for responding to that. And I'm thinking, how can we reach out to the adults that they're living with? And we figured that most adults spend their time working. And if you can make the workplace happier and healthier, hopefully they don't bring negativity back home. So that was the aspirational target that we have when iGrow was started. So I didn't really start off wanting to become an entrepreneur, a business owner, or whatever thing along those lines, but it just happened along the way. And since 2009, we are very lucky to have a whole bunch of corporate clients that we had the opportunity to work with. I lead a team of very competent, professional, excellent, and a great team that I love, enjoy so much working with. And so that was the first phase of my life. And then in the organizations, we work with them on trying to build culture. And that's 3 key things that we focus on right now: leadership, engagement, and culture. And in this phase of my life, I'm hoping to have the opportunity to work with consultants, trainers, and coaches, because I hope that we can become a real force for good, right? So let me just do a very quick poll, right? Because we have a whole diversity of people with different clients that they coach, you know. So this is my belief, right? I just want to test this out with you. And my belief is that nobody gets into a coaching profession because they want to be a rich person, right? Rich in terms of financially, nobody gets into coaching because they want to make a lot of money. If you agree with me, you know, please type in yes into the chat, right? Why for yes into the chat. That is not always about the money, you know. That in my experience working with coaches, the key reason why they want to coach is because they want to share experiences, right? They have gained so much from people, they have gained so much from others, they have been helped, they have been supported, they've been coached, and so they would like to do that. Nobody gets into coaching because they want to make a lot of money. A lot of reasons is because they want to be of service to another person. So that's my experience, and thank you for kind of confirming that. And Leila, yes, very humanistic for humanity and stuff like that. So, you know, if that is the operating foundation, right, that coaches exist from a point that it's not money as the main priority, although not saying that you don't need money, money is important, right? And to be paid right, to be paid what your value is important as well, that is not the main driving force. And so if that is the case, right, then potentially if all the coaches, consultants, and trainers gather together, we can become a real force for good. Because we have our experience, we have our expertise, and if we all consolidate and harness all these superpower and talents that we have, I think we can make the world a better place. So that is that new direction that I want to focus on, right? To see how we can support coaches and consultants and trainers. And so in a process, we have identified different frameworks, things that work for us, that we've tested with different groups of people. And yes, Anna, for a force for good and make the world a better place, precisely, right? So, and I'm in a process of publishing my book. I've written things about the framework. And so that is that new purpose for me right now in this season and in my life right now. And by the way, just to let you know that I will be giving you a link to download all the slides and some of the worksheets that I'll be covering at the end of the session, because this is the most common request that people have. Can I have the slides? Can I have the information? Can I have the worksheets and all this? So I'm going to give you a link to download that at the end. So right now, I just want you to focus your attention over here, right? So don't worry about it. It will be given to you at the end. And so on that note, right, I'm going to ask you, you know, just share with me a little bit, right? Like, what is the hardest part about the pandemic for your business, right? In your coaching practice, in whatever that you do, what is the hardest part about this pandemic for your business? Just key into the chat. Thanks, Pradeep. Uncertainty, and precisely that is so true. And Kevin, clients canceling coaching session, exactly, especially if you're working with hospital, right? They're so busy and coaching becomes like a good to have. Canceling, uncertainty, pivoting, right? Changing, clients preferring face-to-face, Jean, yeah. Maybe because they're so used to it. Emotional fluctuations, yeah, all the emotions that they experience with clients still, no budget, exactly, everybody's cutting. Social distancing, thanks Han for saying that, you know, feeling trapped. Are you talking about like cabin fever, that you can't go out and then Zoomify, you know, I kind of hear this new term, Zoomify, laying off, no face-to-face business, Zoom, clients not keen on online coaching, trapped in different ways. Yes, thanks for clarifying. And uncertainty and distraction, too many online offerings. And you're exactly right, because everybody is moving to online, but what is the online that works, that is effective, that still can engage, that can still get you the results, right? So I see a lot of uncertainty, a lot of no budget, a lot of cancellations, a lot of like comfortability in trying out a new platform or a new model of work, right? Potential clients feeling that they need to focus on that coaching is no longer an essential, exactly, because right now, what are they focusing on? Survival problems, isn't it? And I'll talk a little bit more about these things later, right? So, some of your clients kind of holding on to deprioritizing coaching, exactly, because now they have a lot of other battles that they need to fight. They don't even know whether they can keep the staff, their employees. They don't know whether they have money They don't know whether they're able to survive. So all these are the common things, thanks for sharing, right? And all these things. And so I can totally resonate with all the challenges that you're experiencing, because that is exactly what I face in my business as well, right? And with my entire team. Although, just now Adrian shared, it sounds like a very wonderful stats that we have, 450 corporate clients and all this. But you know what? In January, when at the onset of the pandemic, when it happened, 100% of all our engagements were either cancelled or postponed, right? And 100% of our businesses are currently all done offline, which means that we still have face-to-face, we still need to go to the client's place, we need to conduct workshops, we need to see them, we need to schedule meetings and all those. So that is what we are experiencing, right? And because of this, right, all the offline meetings were all cancelled or postponed indefinitely, 100% of them in January, right? So when there's cancellations, when there's postponement, you know what that means? That we are unable to bill the client, which means that we have cash flow problems and how all our business expenses are still running. Although I know some of the coaches that may be present here, you're running a very lean setup, you may not even need an office space, and so the expenses may not be very high. But then still, right, that there's that concern and anxiety, and some of these things kind of keep me up at night, making me feel very stressed and overwhelmed with all the things that I do not have control over, right? So the first problem that I encountered, all of these got cancelled or postponed. I don't know if any of you experienced, from what you said just now, I think some of you have faced that as well. And there's a second problem that I've encountered, right? A second problem that I faced, which is being an offline setup, right? Being an offline setup that I need to be physically present, in person with the client, whether I'm doing my consultancy work, whether I'm doing my coaching sessions or I'm doing my training sessions. One of the key challenges is that I can't scale, I can't survive, and I can't grow, right? And survival, we talk about it because of all the cancellations. I can't grow because how big you can grow your business depends on how many good people you have, right? And one of the key realities of the coaching profession is that we are built by the hours. So how much value are you able to attribute to that 1 hour? Because all of us have the same number of hours in a day. And so it's important for us to then see that if you want to grow a coaching business, it is difficult because you need to have a lot of good people and you need to increase your billing rate, right? And because it's conducted offline face-to-face, then we face a third challenge of scaling up. And the cost of business for us actually is quite high because we work with some of the MNC clients, and sometimes they come to us and they ask, can you support my regional team, right? Because Singapore seems to be the APAC office where a lot of the APAC leaders sit in. And so when they roll out initiatives, one of the common questions that they have is, why only roll out in Singapore? It's not fair to the other officers and in the other countries. So they want us to support them at the regional level, but we can't because it just doesn't make sense for them, to pay us money, to fly us over there to do the work that we need to do. So this resulted in a lot of missed deals and fallen through our hands that we kind of hold so tight, but it kind of fall through the cracks, So that is that challenge for us, that being in an offline setup, the cost of business that we can't survive in this situation, and there's a limit to our growth, and definitely it's hard to scale because it's a people business and it's based on the hours, right? Any of you kind of experience this as well, that, that because it is just one of you or a few of you, that when clients have a request, it is difficult for you to kind of grow that. So just type in me, M for me, that you are going through this as well. That if it's an offline setup, it's difficult for you to grow or to scale. So just key in M into the chat if it's you, right? Me, good, thank you. That you have that challenge and that difficulty in growing and that scaling and stuff like that. And if that is the case, then there's the third problem that we encountered. Thanks for responding to this, and definitely it makes me feel a lot more empathy that I'm not all alone, right? That in the coaching community, it is something that is very common. And I hope that you feel the same as well, wherever you are, as you look at the chat bursting with all the things, that there are a lot of people that because of the limitation of time, and there's a limit to how much value they're going to price to your billing hours. Don't you agree with me, right? We are unlike like lawyers that are able to charge like thousands for an hour, right? There's a limit. And once you cross the limit, there's a lot of justification that's required in order for them to allocate budget for you. So that's that challenge for us, right? And the third part that we have, the third problem that we have right now in this portion, as we try to engage our clients, we try to reach out to them, we try to continue selling them, so to speak, about the need and stuff like that. What? what we get is thanks, but no thanks. Thanks for reaching out, but no thanks to your service. I don't know any of you are experiencing this, that our message is getting ignored and no one is buying, even though we know that right now it's even more critical for us to support them, right? Because of all the uncertainty that not just us, but they or their staff are experiencing. If you are coaching leaders, the leaders have their own teams that underneath them that kind of are in that moment of uncertainty as well that is difficult for them. So, all these experiences that they have, that is even more critical for them to have a coach, a support that is there alongside to guide them, to point them, give them clarity, give them that direction. And so that is difficult, right? And Josephine, yes, oh, thank you, bye. Are you saying bye to us, or you're saying the response that you got? So these are some of the things that are challenges that we face. I don't know if any of you kind of experience that they respond by saying, okay, thanks for the message, thank you, and bye, no thanks for all the things. And these three things made us want to come together, my whole team, to relook at our business in its entirety and reframe and to rechange and to kind of see how and what are the things that we can remodel them. In fact, we just gone through an exercise of restructuring and remodeling our entire business. But right now, suddenly we got hit with a pandemic that is unprecedented, that nobody's prepared for, right? Nobody is ever prepared for this. It just happened. And so we need to rethink about this. And that's what me and my team did, right? And I'm seeing some of the questions that are there. While there's a need for coaching, what makes the client wants to cut costs while we offer virtual counseling? I'm going to talk a little bit about this, Jess, right? Later, you're talking about like how do we show the value of our work? I think that's the question they're asking. How do we show the value of our work that it is still worth it regardless of the platform that it's being engaged in, right? And so, me and my team, we were brainstorming, we were talking, we spent many hours, we spent days, we spent months, I spent sleepless nights, and mulling through, and I have a picture of a mountain over here. It kind of reminds me of my experience when I went to the Outback in Adelaide last year, trying to climb one of the mountain, and it's a rock-faced mountain, and it's so scary, right? Because, once I misstep, I kind of have this image in my head. I don't think it's real, but it's just in my head that I will slip, I'll fall, I'll die, right? No matter what, all these things just play out in my head. So that's the same thing that I went through as well, that, this is tough, this is difficult, it looks so tall, it looks like there's a lot of obstacles in front. I don't even know what lies ahead. I don't even know what lies behind the bend and all this. And so it is a difficult process and journey. And so the good news is that we are very lucky and we are very thankful because we have our own coaches. I have a coach as well that support me in this process, pointing me in business direction, in marketing, in strategy and stuff like that. And I have my community, I have my team of people that I can rely on that help us to, we haven't come out on the other side yet, but definitely we are not dying, right? And we are still getting new engagements. In fact, the fascinating thing is we got even more jobs right now, compared to when it was on the offline, when we tried to pivot our business. So I want to share with you what are the things that we have done so that you can shortcut your learning and shrink all the months into days for you in your business. So that's what I want to do for you, right? And I want to talk a little bit about the framework that we did. So this was one of the things that we kind of, that I'm going to put in my book, and I call this Profit Acceleration Mastery, right? For coaches and for business owners, that there's three key things that we want to focus on, right? There's three key things that we want to focus on. And the goal that we want is to increase qualified leads, right? That means people coming into our world that want what we want, that are the target market that I'm working with, that if I'm coaching people in transitions, that they are currently in transitions that they want to move, right? And the second part that we want is to have paying clients that are willing to pay us at the value that we state. And this is a little bit of what Jess was saying, right? That we need to shift all these things. And how do we make sure that the clients see the value that we are providing them, that we are able to, and how are we confident enough to say that we are giving them some results, right? Some results. And this is one of the key things that I want you to think about in your own coaching practice. And I know from experience, even for myself, that I kind of shun away from the results conversation because sometimes, the idea of results is like a commitment, right? Like a baggage that if I commit myself to that results, what if it doesn't happen? Because sometimes, if I don't deliver the results, they will say that I'm a bad coach, that I didn't do my job, right? So there's all these considerations that are there. But I want to say one important thing, right? From a psychology perspective, right? If we distill all the theories of motivation and if I can just kind of simplify, perhaps oversimplifying it, there's two key reasons why people are buying things, right? It's either motivated by pain or pleasure, right? So what this means is that they want to eliminate some of the pain that they have, and they want to look for something that gives them that joy. And so one of the key reasons why people are buying is because of the promise that you're giving them and the results that they are giving you. So Jess, coming back to your question, right? What about the format, virtual or face-to-face? To be honest with you, people desire and buy results. If you're able to deliver the results from a virtual platform through a phone conversation, if you're able to provide the results in a form of a face-to-face or whatever that format is, then they're going to pay for your services at the rate that you feel that it is necessary or it is right for you to charge yourself, because you are delivering results. And sometimes we may romanticize the idea, and I fall into that as well, that, because they like me, I'm nice, and I have a nice voice, and they enjoy my company, and so that's the reason why they buy. And while that is a nice thought, and it kind of make my ego feel a little bit better, but the reality is people buy because of the results that you're able to offer them. If it's a team engagement, the results that you offer them is engagement of the team, right? If it's a leadership outcome, your result is that they're able to lead more effective towards achieving the results that the company want. Because how do you determine whether it's a good leader or not leader? Depends on the results that the team has achieved. So if you're in transition, the results that you achieve is for them to land a job, not just to write a resume that is effective. So we got to start thinking about the results that you are able to offer. And when you are able to have that confidence in that results, then I can tell you that it doesn't matter what platform you have, right? And benefits sell as well, right? That's true, right? So that's that second portion, right, of paying clients. And the third part of this is to how we are able to maximize profits, right? How we are able to maximize profits and to make sure that we keep most of it to ourselves. So these are the three outcomes. And the way that we help clients do is through three key things. One is solution clarity. Two is through a lead generation system. And, one of the in my experience working with coaches and myself as well, the biggest difficulty that we have is getting new leads and closing the deal, right? We are very good at what we are doing when it comes to the coaching engagement. We can demonstrate empathy, we can demonstrate all those coaching competencies, but one of the key challenges that we have is in getting people to be interested and then to get them to buy things, right? So having a lead generation system is something that is important and critical for people, especially coaches, especially when you're running your own practice, one or a few people, that you get leads coming in, and how do you convert them into paying clients. So these are some of the key projects. And because of the time, I'm not going to go through all these things, but I want to talk a little bit about what is most critical, and maybe I'm going to throw that question up to you right now. Let me ask you, what do you need most in your business right now, in your coaching practice? What is it that you need most in your coaching practice right now? So just skim to the chat. What are some of the things that you need most in your business right now? Is it more leads, more like sales? Is it more profits? Is it more people coming, clients, leads? Thank you, Suzanne. More leads, more clients. Exactly, people that want to pay you at the price that you want to pay. The conversion from interested to buying, exactly, right? We have a lot of people that ask us questions, and we are so nice because we will still engage them. We will talk to them. You do our discovery calls and all those, but in the end, they say thank you very much, and you don't hear from them anymore, right? So more leads, more clients, more conversion, marketing, exactly, right? Getting people to know you, network, expanding the people that you have, more conversion, so you have more leads and converting, and conversion takes so long. And I totally resonate this with you, especially if you're working with corporate clients, right? Because corporate client sales cycle is so long. The person that you're talking to that is interested in your service may have a boss above them, right? That needs to clear that. And then you got to convince them to let the boss clear. After the boss above them clear, they may have a boss above them. So the sales process takes very long, and you've been giving and giving and giving, but you have not been receiving anything, so far from them. So all these things are important. And so it is important. Thank you for sharing this. More clarity to brand myself. Yeah, Michael, thank you for that, right? That to know what is something that you want to represent and what are the problems that you're able to solve. How to stand out when everyone offers free services right now, exactly, right? And I know there's a person that I work with that is a photographer, right? And he coaches other photographers as well. And one of the key things that he talk about, there's a challenge. Why he shift into coaching other people is because that, he has been in the industry for like 15 over years. He's so skilled at what he's doing. But then there are those, in those days we call like poly graduates, or or not even graduate, just coming out from film, sound, and media, you know, and then they start to volunteer their time to take photos for weddings and all those, that kind of cut the price. And so it makes him look very expensive. And so there's all these people that are offering free or very cheap services. How do you differentiate yourselves from the rest? And that is one important and real question that is needed to be addressed. So thank you for sharing that, right? And it seems like leads and conversion seems to be the main thing. And, you know, I want to kind of talk a little bit about this, right? And kind of zoom in and give you something that is a little bit more critical, that is relevant to the situation. Because whilst we have that framework for us in our business, we still had to go back and rehash and to rethink. And these are some of the insights and also from some of the coaching that we've received, right? So I'm going to do a little bit of doodling over here, right? And if this over here is today, right, which is where you are right now, and if this over here is the future, I want to apologize in advance first because my handwriting is terrible. I injured my thumb and it's bad. So if this is today and that is future, and let's just say we don't look too far into the future, let's just say that we look at 3 years, right? 3 years into the future. And from now to 3 years, I don't know what does that 3 years look like for you. I don't know what is it going to be and stuff like that. From the looks of it, it seems like there is this new norm that people are talking about, right? And I'm going to draw a line in the middle over here, right? So I'm going to call this the survival line. So this survival line is when the pandemic ends, when everything resumes, right? So I'm going to call this the survival line. And how long do you think that survival line is going to be? You know, from now, from today to the survival line? If you can hit into the chat, how long do you think when all these are going to become a little bit more usual or normal, how long do you think that is going to be? 2 years, wow, yeah. 1 year, 18 months, exactly. I think we are moving to a new norm. As long as it takes 18 months, 2 to 3 years, not normal for 2 to 3 years. There's a lot of changes that are happening, and you're exactly right, right? So, and of course, for some people, this line can shift, right? For some people, it's 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, whatever, 6 months, 12 months, or whatever those things may be. So for the purpose of this, let's just say that the survival line that we are in, right? The survival line, and you talk about the question. What I'm asking is, if right now on what you're seeing on the screen, right now is today, and in the future, right, over here is the future. What is going to happen? And we say that is about 3 years. And then that line that cuts across is the survival line. And how long will it take? I'm going to say that it's going to take about 12 to 18 months, right? So that's what some of the people are saying. That's a little bit of my gut sense as well, that things are going to be normal and it changes. I'm not sure, right? So we are just going to say that, let's just say 12 to 18 months. Now, what is going to happen is that there are 3 likely scenarios. I want to share with you 3 likely scenarios. The first scenario is that there are some people that are not going to make it through the survival line, right? That they are just going to crash just before the survival line, and they are just going to be discouraged, disheartened. And I'm talking about coaches, right? And one of the key things why they are not making through the survival line is because they do nothing, right? From now to the survival line, that they do nothing because they are not sure what to do. They don't know what to start. They start looking around. There's so many things that are happening. There's so much information. They feel that there's a huge gap. And so what happens when they see all these things? They know that they need to change, but they don't know where to start. So when they start to see this, you know, thanks Anna for that, analysis paralysis, exactly, right? They get into that state of overwhelm. When you get into overwhelm, you get into procrastination and you start to be in that paralysis. So there are some people that do nothing and they are going to crash. I don't know if any of you know people that are like that, right? That they are just kind of, you know, sitting there because they are so overwhelmed, they're not sure what to do, you know, and they just kind of get a little bit stuck, right? So that's the first scenario that is going to happen. There's a second group of people, right, where they are going to hover up and down that line. And sometimes they make it through, sometimes they don't make it through. And, you know, the reason is because they are the ones that try, they are the survivors, right? They don't do nothing, you know, they don't do nothing. And so what do? They do something, whatever those things may be, but they just try to do something. You know, people talk about online, so they try to find, what do I do online? Oh my goodness, don't have a social media page. Maybe I create a LinkedIn, maybe I do a Facebook. Do I do live? Do I go here? Do I create a video? What do I do, right? So they do something, but they're not very sure whether it's the correct thing or the wrong thing, but they're just trying to be busy because, you know, they just want to be locked in that frozen position. So these people that do something, they may go through with bumps and ups and downs and stuff like that. And some make it through. There are some bad days, there are some good days, but, you know, up and down, they may survive through that survival line. Is this making sense to you? I just want to check with you, right? So there are some people that do something, thanks Sam for this, right? And there are some people that do something and they kind of survive, right? And my wish for you is to be the third group of people, because there are, that make it through the survival line that is better than where they started, right? They make it through the survival line better than where they started because they do the right thing, right? They do the right thing. And right thing because you are able to make it through, you are able to shift some of the things that you are doing. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what are the things that you need to shift, right? So there are three likely scenarios, right? There are three likely scenarios. There are people that do nothing, that just like get analysis paralysis and get stuck. There are people that do something, and there are people that do the right thing that make it through much better. I don't know how many of you would like to be which one, right? So just let us know, you know, which are the ones. If you want to know what is the right thing, can I just ask you to key RT into the chat, right? RT into the chat to know what is the right thing. Good, thanks, you know, RT into the chat if you want to know what's the right thing. And I will share with you from my experience what worked, and I hope that it's going to be useful for you as well, right? Good. And, you know, thanks everyone for this. But what is right? Thank you, Roberto, right? Thank you. What is right? And I will share right from what works for us. And I'll leave you to be the judge to see if it is going to be applicable for you, right? So there's going to be three things. If you have a sheet of paper, can I ask you to just write a sheet of paper, to take out a sheet of paper and draw a triangle there as well, right? To take out a sheet of paper and to draw a triangle there. And I'm going to kind of walk through this model with you. So the first thing, at the bottom of the triangle, I want you to write the word protect, right? At the other side, I want you to write pivot. And on the other angle, I want you to write profit. So these are the three key things that I want you to take note of: protect, pivot, and profit. And I'm going to break this down into three more key things, right? Three more projects each. So there's a total of 9 different strategies and projects that is important for you in your business. And I'm going to go through each of this, right? And let me start with profit first, because I want to get out of the way, because I am just looking at my time. I'm going to focus on a few of those things. I want to share the profit and the protect portion with you. So in profits, there are 3 key things that are important for you to look at, right? The first one are expenses. What are your current expenses? As coaches, you know, we run a very lean practice. We may not have our huge overheads and all this, so that's a blessing, that's brilliant, that's good. But what are the other expenses that you have? Because when you identify these things and you eliminate all the unnecessary expenses, is where you immediately restore and reinstate money back into your pockets, right? So for me, I was renting a car on a long-term hire basis, and so I rent it for about a year, and then I'll just pay on a month-by-month basis, and that is the first thing that I cut off, right, as an expense when this thing hit. So immediately I return thousands of dollars back into my pocket. So what are the other things that you are able to cut? And one of the key things that I want you to look at are your credit card bills, because a lot of us would have, you know, credit card bills, some of the recurring expenses that we don't even know are there, but it's just minusing money out of us, right? So cutting expenses is one of the key practical strategies that I want you to look at in your own practice. The second key thing on how you can profit, right, is to look at your investments. Sorry, the handwriting is a little bit terrible. My thumb is injured, is bad. And I know some of you are figuring out, what is this guy trying to do? So apologies, it's investment. It's the second thing that you, in the profit category. So what is the investment? I'm not talking about like stocks or shares or equities. I'm no expert. In fact, I suck at it, right? The investment that I'm talking about is investment in yourself. Because during this period, when all the things are locked down or wherever you are, when the business activity is low, the key thing that you need to be focusing on is investing in yourself. And I'm so glad that you are taking opportunity and time to be here in this ICW, because that is your way of investing into yourself to up your professional skills and to learn new strategies, new ways. So investing into yourself that is able to give you returns are one of the important things, because, you know, right now, everybody is like lost and confused or like waiting for something to happen. But if you proactively try to do things, when the thing turns and when it crosses the survival line, you are going to become a lot better because you have spent this time trying to strengthen yourself, right? So investing in yourself is the second thing that you need to look at in profits. And you see, my handwriting is so terrible and I cannot even get the word out. And the last one in profit is promotions, right? How are you promoting yourself? How are you, how are you promoting yourself to the rest of the people? Although it's important whether you are promoting it right or not, and I'll talk about this in a while and spend a little bit more time. I just want to get these profits. Actually, there's a lot more strategies in place, but I just want to show you the high-level framework. That in profit, you need to look at your expenses, cut your expenses. Second thing is to look at your investing in yourself, right? Not in the equity or whatever. If that is your area, that's great. But I'm talking about investing in the biggest asset, which is you, right? How are you investing in yourself so that you become stronger and better when the thing returns, that you have that experience and you don't spend this time wallowing in pity or confusion and loss and uncertainty, but you've spent this time trying to become a better version of yourself when everything gets better. And the third one is, how do you promote yourself, right? How do you get the word out there about the things that you're doing, right? So that is the three key things in profit. Is it making sense? If it's making sense, just give me a thumbs up on your chat. Just there's a reaction button. Just give me a thumbs up so that I know that you are fine. Good, right? So that's the profits, right? Those three key things. What I really want to spend time on right now is protect and pivot. And now, the first key primary person that you need to protect is yourself, right? It's yourself. Thanks, Pilar, for talking about creating the sales pipeline, and that's precisely true, right? And so for you, I want you to know that one of the most important person that you need to protect is yourself, right? Yourself. And because, as we've established earlier, none of you get into this because you want to make a lot of money, right? You would have done a lot of other things and not this if you want to make money. You are doing this because you want to be an inspiration to other people. You want to share your experience and your knowledge, and you want to be of service to another person. So if you want to be effective in your mission and what you want to do, it makes it even more important right now for you to take care of yourself. And I want to share with you a little bit of routine that I do when we talk about taking care of yourself. And there's this thing that I do every morning, and I call it the 5 M's, okay? So the first M is your mindset, right? The first M is your mindset. So what is mindset? Mindset is your thinking. And how to protect your mindset? Now, the first, most important critical thing that you need to do in protecting your mindset is to set your intentions every day, every morning, that it's going to be a good day. And have that positive expectation that the day is going to be good. So that is critical because you determine and you attract and you draw whatever kind of things that is going into your life. So in protecting yourself, the first important thing is to protect your mindset, your thinking, by setting an expectation that is going to be good and to look out for the good things, to have gratitude at the end of the day, to look at what are the things that you appreciate at the end of the day. There's so much research and data around all these gratitude exercise, but setting it right is to set that intention every single day that today is going to be a good day. So that's the first M that I want to talk about, right? That you need to look at your mindset, setting an expectation. And the second one that you need to protect is your mood, your feelings, right? So if mindset is your thinking, the second M, mood, is your feeling. How are you protecting your mood, your emotions? And let me share with you a simple hack, right? A simple hack of how you can protect your mood. One of the fastest ways for us to shift and alter our mood is music, right? Do you have a playlist that raises your vibration? Do you have a playlist that brings a smile to you? Do you have a playlist that helps you to focus? Do you have a playlist that helps you to get into that task mode and that work mode? Do you have a playlist that helps you to relax? Music raises the mood. So one of the key things that you can do in protecting our mood is to keep different playlists. And I'm into this mindfulness movement of late, and I'm practicing some of these things, and I listen to binaural beats that help me to gain a little bit more focus and attention into that. So have your own playlist that works for you, right? And Sari is talking about a playlist called Here Comes the Sun, and I love that song. It's a very upbeat song, so that's wonderful, you know. And as a community, you can share what is your favorite playlist that raises your good vibes. And thanks, I love these good vibes, Oli. Thanks, Scott, for sharing this in, you know. So those of you that have your playlist, share into this so that we all have that resource that helps you to raise your mood. So protecting your mindset, your thinking by setting expectation that it's going to be a good day. Second, protecting your mood by having that playlist, right? That kinds of get into the emotions. And the third one is movement, right? Movement, getting into activity, right? Getting into action, the things that you do. And in the morning when I wake up, I sit and I do my 5 minutes of meditation, mindfulness, activity, exercise, and I set that intention that today is going to be a good day. I listen to some of the happy music, and I do a little bit of stretching after that. You know, nothing too strenuous that you can see from my body shape that I'm not a very athletic or every sports person, but I do a little bit of stretching just to wake the body up a little bit. And how are you having movement into your day-to-day? Because getting stuck at home can feel daunting, right? How are you waking up your body? So get into that movement, protect by having that movement. And the fourth M are meals. How are you feeding yourself? What are you feeding yourself, right? Thanks. I mean, walking 30 minutes every day, and Isabel, right? Dance, excellent, you know. Plum Village app, mindfulness, good. Thanks for sharing resources. We need all these things, right? Thanks, and keep all these things coming so that we have a library of all these wonderful things that works for us. So the fourth one is the meal. What are you feeding yourself? What food are you eating, you know? Are you nourishing yourself effectively? Are you drinking sufficient water, you know? So these are some of the things. And in my morning routine, I wake up doing the mindfulness. I do my reflection and gratitude, set intention, do a little bit of stretching. The next thing I'll do is to drink a large cup of water and eat one multivitamin pill for myself. So that's my way of nourishing my body that I create into a routine. So what are you doing, you know, to protect yourself in the meal? And the last one, the last M is momentum, right? Momentum. Momentum refers to that action-oriented drive that helps you to get results. So what positive actions are you doing? What momentum are you creating? What wheel are you churning for you in your own life every day, every single day? How are you protecting your mind, your mood, your movement, your meal, and your momentum? And the way that I find useful is to set 3 tasks for me every day, you know. And once I check off those 3 tasks, I feel, and I give myself a pat on the back. And out of those 3 tasks, there's one that's what I call a simple task. A simple action is something that I can do in about 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes at most, you know, like maybe send a message to a friend, call my mom, call my dad. So set 3 things that you can do every day and give yourself a pat on the back. And the bonus thing is to have 2 additional. When you finish the 3, you know, you can then work on your 4th and your 5th. So that is the momentum that you can celebrate the success of accomplishing the task that you set for yourself instead of feeling frustrated for not getting things done, right? So that's important of how you can protect yourself. Is this making sense for you? You know, this how you are protecting yourself to protect your mood, protect your mindset, protect your movement, protect your meal, and protect your momentum. Thanks, Serene, for sharing here. So, you know, out of these 5, which one do you think is most important for you, right? Which one do you think is most important for you? Out of these 5, mindset, mood, movement, meal, or momentum? Thanks, Anna, for saying all 5. That's good, you know. So these 5 things, which one of these are important for you? Thanks, Serene. Momentum, right? Mindset, all 5. Interdependent, right? Because all things are connected. And whichever that you feel are important for you, great. Because it means that maybe at this point in your time, this is something that is important and something that is lacking that you desire and you're drawn to it. So don't have to do all 5 things. Do whatever that makes sense to you right now. If you are drawn to all 5, wonderful, you know. So do something small. My morning routine just takes about 15, 20 minutes, right? I wake up, I go to my balcony. I'm thankful I have a balcony. Go to whatever space you have. I put on my earphones. I listen to my morning meditation, guided meditations for like 3 to 5 minutes. And then I'll do a little bit of breathing. I set my intention that today is going to be a great day. I'm a Christian, so I say my own prayers in the morning as well. Whatever faith and religion you are in, you can use that in your own practice as well. And then I start to get into a little bit of stretching. I drink a cup of water, I eat my multivitamins, and I set my 3 goals. Whatever, it takes about 20 minutes a day. So do whatever. Protect yourself is one of the key things first. And the second thing, and Sophie, thank you for raising that, because momentum is a little bit, I speak too fast. Thank you for sharing the chat. So momentum is about things that help you to move forward, to start the wheel churning, actions that help you to move forward. And the momentum for me is to set goals and actions for me. 3 tasks, 3 simple tasks and 2 additional ones that I can do, right? So that's what momentum is. And that is like getting into the groove of things. So that is the protecting self portion. And after you protect yourself, you know, the second thing that is important that you need to protect are your team, right? I know some of us in the coaching profession may not have a team, we may be independent and stuff like that. But when I talk about team, are the people that have supported you. It could be your community. And I just want to do a very quick shout out to the ICW and ICF team, right? For pulling all these things together. And it is so fantastic. And your team, it may be loose, it may be formal, it may be structured, it may be salaried, it may not be salaried, but your team, your stakeholders, people that have been supporting you, how are you protecting them? How are you reaching out to them? Because if people are feeling uncertain and unsure, then we need a little bit of light, because in that darkness that we are in right now, any little spark becomes something very bright. And you as coaches can be that spark to another person, right? And you got to take care of yourself first, then you got to take care of your team. And the third group of people that is critical that I want you to look at are your clients. How are you protecting your clients? The third group of people, how are you protecting your clients? Because like I mentioned, you know, when everything is dark, people are looking for a little bit of light. And how are you being that spark in the world of your clients? And how many of you have reached out to your clients to just check in and to find out how they are doing and stuff like that? How many of you have reached out to them, have sent them a text message, send them an email, whatever those things may be? Some of you, great. You know, I'm so happy for those that are reaching out to the clients, because that is precisely important. Because in this moment, in this period when people are so worried, there's so much anxiety and fear that is surrounding the world, it is critical and important for you to reach out to them and to be that little spark and a little light, to add a little bit of clarity to their world, to add a little bit of assurance. Although you cannot offer solutions, at least tell them that you are there with them alongside supporting them. And this is how relationships grow. And you're building your social capital, your relationship capital. So all these things are critical and important. And you have a WhatsApp Pro. Thanks, Marie, for sharing this. You know, that you kind of keep in touch with everyone. That's great. And for those of you that are not, I'm telling you that now is the best time for you to reach out to them and to be that light, to take lead, to be the leader in their lives, to step forward, to kind of walk in front of them and say that I'm here with you. And I'm going to give you something very simple, right? Just ask them 2 questions. If you don't know where to start or where to begin, just ask them 2 questions, right? If you don't know where to start. The first question that you can ask them is, how are you, right? How are you? That's the first thing that you can ask, how are you? And the second thing that you can ask is, how can I support you, right, in this period? How are you? How can I help you? How can I support you? These are the 2 things that you can reach out to your clients and just check in with them, right? Some of them may say, oh, nothing, you know, you're listening here, whatever those things may be, but it gives you something easy, right? And thanks, Pilar, emotional connection, more than ever, exactly, that you're building your social capital, that you kind of show your clients that you're not just there because you want to get paid, but you're there because you care and you are concerned about their well-being, right? So that is important, taking care of your clients. I hope it's making sense, right? In Protect, that there's these 3 things, the 5 M's in protecting yourself, and then to be the leader to your team and to be the leader to your clients. And that is critical and important, right? So I hope it's making sense. If it's making sense, just give me a smile or whatever, like give me a thumbs up on your Zoom reaction, and I can see some of the thumbs up going. Good, thanks Jada, our Zoom Pro, for doing that thumbs up and all this. And I see some of the thumbs that are going up. That's excellent, right? And you need to be there, right? To have a chat or to meditate, to laugh, and you're exactly right, yeah? And so that is that protection, right? 2 are the people that are important that you need to protect: yourself, your team, and your clients. Now I want to go into the next part in the coaching business, right? How do you pivot? What are the things that you pivot? And I want to spend a little bit more time on this, right? So the first thing that you need to pivot in your business is your message, right? Is your message important? You need to start pivoting your message. Let me just do a little bit of doodling, right? So as a psychologist, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with management theories and all this about like Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? So I'm borrowing it from there. I'm simplifying it a lot, and just bear with me, right? So same thing. If the line in the middle is our survival line, right? There are 2 lines that are at the bottom, right? And there are 2 sections that are at the top. And I'm going to break this down to you, right? That if you start thinking about your clients, whether they are leaders, whether they are transition, whether they are women, whether they are C-suite, whichever, they are in one of these 4 categories, right? So the first category that they are in, which is, let's start from the bottom, right, is that they are dying, right? And I'm just using this loosely without being morbid, that they are already dying, that they are already down under and they don't know what. The hope is very low, that they are so worried that they are so far below, right? So some of the clients that we are working with right now may be experiencing that sense of hopelessness, helplessness in their world, right? That they may be drowning and they are dying, right? And so that's the first group of people. And there are other people that are, you know, that they are not drowning, but they are sinking, right? That they are sinking slowly. Haven't drowned yet, haven't died yet, but they are sinking, going down and down, right? And just going below, and they, you know, I do a little bit of diving, and when you descend, when you dive in the sea, you will start to see that the surface gets further and further away from you. And the first time when I did that, I kind of a little bit of freak out because, you know, it seemed so scary. So there are some people that are like this, they are slowly descending and sinking, right? And then there's another group that are just slightly above the survival line. I'm going to use a different color over here, right? And just above the survival line, can you guess what they are? That they are floating, right? Wow, excellent, Hazel, excellent, right? Nita as well, getting it, that they are floating, that they're just kind of cruising along, you know, kind of up and down the surface, haven't go below, but kind of floating around, right? Haven't died, but not thriving yet. And of course, there's that next group of people that are speeding, moving very quickly ahead, you know, thriving as well. Yes, thanks, Adeline, right? That they are thriving, top is swimming, and, you know, there are 4 groups, but really, you know what? There's only 2 kinds, right? Although there are 4 that they are in. You know what are the 4? It's either they are at the top or they are at the bottom, right? It's either they are at the top or they are at the bottom. And why this is important is because people that are at the top in the green zone, they are facing scaling problems. Scaling problems refers to things of how they can get better, how they can get more results, more improvement, lead teams, achieve targets, achieve goals, and all those, right? So there are some people that at the top half, they are facing scaling problems, which are performance better and more effectiveness, doing more with less and stuff like that. Is that making sense? That there are some people that are in scaling, right? And there's people that are at the bottom, you know what they are? They are in the survival zone, right? They are trying to make ends meet. They are trying to make sure that they still have money on the table, that they're still able to make it through. For those of you that are business coaches or leaders, you know, sometimes you are going in and we start to tell them all the scaling problem. Maybe in your past, your business and your pitch is that how I can grow your business as a business coach, how I can make your leaders more effective, you know, and so on and so forth. So maybe you may be pitching at the scaling problem angle. But I want you to know that if they are not at that scaling, you need to start shifting, because if they are in a survival mode, you got to shift your message, right? You got to move it, and you got to start telling them what is important. How can I help you to survive? How can I work alongside? What are the things that we need to do? How can we help you to make savings? How can you keep your people? How can you reshift your structure? How can you look at no pay leave or whatever things, whatever area of work that you are servicing these people? If they're in transitions, now it's even worse, how to get a job and all those. So it's no longer like getting your perfect job, but it's now just getting a job, right? So how are you shifting your message in your own practice? That is important. So that is critical, because if you're not shifting your message, they are going to ignore you. And I know this for a fact, because that is what happened for us, right? That is what happened for us, that it is just so, when we were talking about how to grow your business and all this, everybody ignored you. Remember I told you the third problem that we face, but when we shift our message to look at how do you survive, we start to profile our clients that we are working with, our prospects, people that we're talking to, and shift it, right? To shift it, to start looking at all these things. And that is why it's important for you to evaluate your clients where they are at. Are they facing survival problems or they are facing scaling problems? Because once you have got that figured out, then you need to start pivoting the second portion. After you pivot your message. Now, I just want to do a very quick check-in into the group. Is it making sense right now? You know, like the changing your message. Can I just ask you right now, right? From the clients that you're working with, sorry, Sophie, for speaking a little bit too fast. So I have to slow down a little bit. And for those of you that are in the chat, can I just ask you, right, your clients, where do you think most of your clients are? Are they facing scaling problems or are they facing survival problems? Just get into the chat, you know, like scaling or survival. Thanks, Sophie, both, you know, some survival, good, you know. So you need to have a very clear sense of where they are at, right? You need to have a very clear sense, because when you're not sure where they are at, you may be pivoting at the wrong message. You'll be sending out a lot of things, but it's just getting ignored, flying over the heads of people. So you got to shift and pivot your message. Can we target both groups? Adeline asked a very good question. Of course, you know, of course. What it means is that you need to have two separate sets of messaging to target that separate groups of people. That you have your message one for people facing scaling problems, and you have a message two, people facing that survivor problems, and send it differently to two groups of people based on how well you know them, right? So pivoting is the next one. And the second thing that you need to pivot is your solutions. I'm just going to use this in blue. You need to pivot your solutions. Sorry, I got lazy. I'm just going to use shorthand, right? The second one, if you don't know what it is solutions, S-O-L-N under S, solutions. You need to start pivoting your solutions. Because if you are a performance coach, right, and all you do is to lead people to better performance, and right now, if the messaging is no longer scaling, you know, if you're, for me, I think performance sounds like a scaling problem, you know, not a survivor problem, and you're preaching that performance thing, then, you know, you need to start looking at how you are able to shift and pivot your solutions right now if they are in survivor zone, right? Do you have a quick program for them, like just to manage your anxiety, build resiliency, get more clarity, get more control, get more focus into their life, instead of talking about leading teams to results and stuff like that? So you need to start pivoting your solutions wherever you are, right? Whether you're a business coach, leadership coach, women's coach, whatever those things. And what about those people that are relationship coach, right? Because right now the situation that they are in is people are all in that home. And sometimes when you spend a lot of time together, a lot of conflict may arise, and then this strains relationship, right? Are you able to create and pivot some new solutions? So for us at iGrow, we do the leadership culture and engagement. So what we did in our business that we pivot our solutions is to offer online work-life coaching sessions for our employees, because we are getting a lot of requests now. They are not meeting. There's a lot of anxiety. There are some clients, you know, we built a portal for them, and we put in some of the resources, some of the webinars that we do, we record it, we put it in, we give them tips, we give them sheets of paper, we give them frameworks, we give them models and stuff like that. And then we allow them to do a booking system, and we do Zoom meetings. For those, Zoom is a problem. We use Google Meet as a way for us to chat with them. But basically, we have taken our face-to-face offline into an online version. So we are pivoting our solutions to start not talking about performance, but we talk about how do you manage stress? How do you build psychological immunity? How do you manage that anxiety and the uncertainty? So these are some of the things that we pivoted, and we found a huge intake in that as well. And now we are able to offer our solutions not just in Singapore, but around the region. And there are people that spread the word. So some of the things that you need to do is to pivot your solutions. What you're doing in the past that worked for you today may not be working for you as well. So how are you pivoting your solutions? And how do you do that? Start to think of that message first. Are they in scaling problem or are they in survivor problems? And make that as your starting point. Is it making sense for you, right? That you need to look at that solutions. Thank you for responding to that, right? So I'm glad that you are kind of engaging and listening with me, at least. You know, it's very strange doing these virtual meetings because you seem to be talking to yourself, you know? So a little bit of response is very nice. So thanks everyone for responding. And yes, somebody's asking, is there another S? Yes, that's S. The last one for pivot, right? The third portion for pivot. So after you pivot your message, you pivot your solutions, the next thing that you need to pivot is your delivery. The means and the method of how you are offering and completing your solutions, right? So these are the three key things that you need to pivot. I want to talk a little bit more about that pivot, right? Pivot your message, pivot your solution, pivot your delivery, right? So because a lot of people say, wow, move from offline to online, everything move offline, online, offline, online. It seems very simple, but there's a lot more thought that needs to put into it, you know? And I want to share with you 12 different factors for consideration, right? 12 different factors for consideration as you shift and pivot your delivery. So 12 different things that you need to consider. I'm going to start off with the first one. When you start thinking about your delivery of your services, whether is it your coaching, your training, or your consultancy, you need to start thinking, first thing, when you move offline to online, are you going to become an expert or are you becoming a facilitator? Expert means that you are the one and only person that's going to be doing all the work, right? Or are you going to be a facilitator, like a talk show, like a host, where you pull in different experts, you have a resource of people that are going to be doing specific work. So you need to understand, when you want to pivot from offline to online, do you want to be the one and only expert, or do you want to be a facilitator, or do you want to be in the middle, right? Which is like a mixture of both. So you need to determine, like, are you an expert? Are you a facilitator? So this is the first thing that you need to look at. The second thing that you need to look at is whether are you going to focus and zoom in on specific niche, or are you looking at something that is very broad? Because I can tell you, leadership is something that is very broad, right? Well, you can become a brilliant leader and all those, but how, There's so many frameworks of leadership. So leadership coaches out there, my word to you is, you got to start thinking about what is your key, what is the results, what is the outcome that people will achieve at the end when they go through your services. Are they going to become effective people managers that can lead people to achieve common results? Are they able to engage their teams to be able to delegate? You need to start being very sharp and very clear in identifying all these things. So that's that niche. Are you going to become niche, or are you going to become very broad when you pivot, or are you going to be in the middle, right? So these are things that you need to consider, and as you move from offline to online. Now, the third thing that you need to look at is to identify, as you move from offline to online, do you want to do all of your solutions or just some of your solutions, right? And is it even possible to move all of your solutions to do 100% online, or just some? And as you think about that some, some of the key things to look at is to consider that whether are you using that, is it as a teaser, small solution that you're offering that leads them into a bigger solution that you're offering. So these are things that are important for you to identify, right? Whether are you going all in, or are you going to go some of it in? The next one is very, very practical. Are you going to do a live session all the time, or are you going to do a recording, right? That you do once and then you forget about it, right? Or are you going to do a hybrid? That there's some that's live, there's some that is recorded. So that is some of the things that you need to think of as you shift your practice to move from offline to online. Because the burden of having live sessions, you need to have an audience, number one, and then you got to keep doing all these things, right? And the benefit of doing an online session is that it is easily recorded in whatever format that you have. And sometimes people think, wow, my recording, I need to invest and have very fancy equipment, look very professional and stuff like that. I want to share something important for you, right? Especially in these trying times, you have no time to go and get professional videos and all those. And one of the key things is that I find so useful for me is imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. So let me repeat that. Imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. So as long as I get started, I know that I'm going to get better and better because I don't become an expert and a pro right at the start. Sometimes I keep thinking I need to fill myself with more information. I need to become better and all this. But if you don't start, you don't do the work, you are never going to reach there, right? So imperfect action is better than imperfect action. Imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. So just get started. That's my point, right? Just get started. And you're going to get better and better and better over time, And so that's that. Are you going to do live? Are you going to do recorded? Are you going to do both? And the next one is, are you going to do group calls, or are you going to do one-on-one, right? Because right now, I think most of you are doing your work on a one-on-one basis, and that's fine. But one of the things that I want you to know is that, I told you my third problem that I face is that I find it difficult to grow and to scale, because all of our time is based on hours. And if I have just 1 hour, if I have one client, how much can a client pay me, right? But if in the same hour you were to do a group coaching sessions, if there are 4 to 5 or a group of people that you're comfortable with, then for the same hour, you're not just creating more money, you're creating more impact, you're reaching more people. Of course, some people say, oh, the effectiveness may be compromised, some people may need, and that's fine, You find whatever model that works for you. Some of you may be comfortable with something in the middle, right? some group, some one-on-one. But you got to consider these things as you pivot from offline to online. Are you going to do group? Are you going to do one-on-one? Are you going to do in the middle? Is it making sense for you? You know, and so these are things to consider as you move offline to online. And the last one, or rather the sixth one, there's another 6 to go, right? Is are you going to make it a long commitment? Long commitment for me is a 12-month program, right? That you go through a coaching series, you know, and we're going to achieve specific outcome. They will set the goal, and at the end of 12 months, we review that, and there are milestones in between. Are you going to do a long commitment program, or are you going to do a short commitment program? Short commitment program can be a mindfulness retreat and a mindfulness practice. Get started with mindfulness in the next 30 days, for example, you know. And I know one of the brilliant coaches that I've come to know personally, Sam, you know, that is starting her own online coaching program. So are you going to do, I think it's 12 weeks if I don't remember, I think 10 or 12 weeks, right? So are you going to do long commitment, or are you going to do short commitment, you know, 30 days, 4 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever those things may be, up to you, right? To see and determine what is the format. I hope it's making sense for you, right? Because a lot of people keep talking about, wow, let's go offline to online, offline to online. There's a lot more considerations, right? Can we move along? Is that okay if we move along? Good. So another thing that you need to think about as you move from offline to online is your price. Do you want to charge a high ticket item, or do you want to charge low price? And usually the low price item are for people that want to give them a teaser, right? And a low price item are to address a specific problem, very, very specific. If I'm itchy here, then I'll just scratch here. I don't need to talk about, wow, you know, let me talk about the analogy. If I have a pain here, right, then I want to just have a plaster on my pain so that it gets immediate relief of my pain. I don't need someone to tell me, wow, you got to go through your exercise routine, you got to change your diet, you got to have a 12-month plan, you know, in order for you to solve that pain on your shoulder, you know. So that's an example of a long commitment and a short commitment. Usually for a low price item is for something that is small that addresses that pain at that specific point. So you need to think, right? And because the benefit of having a smaller program, I'm not talking about the price yet, right? Benefit of having a smaller program is that you get the opportunity to deliver results quickly because the pain is very isolated. The problem that you're solving is very isolated. The results that you're delivering is very isolated. So it gives you an opportunity to showcase and for the clients to build confidence in your ability to deliver, right? So that is the benefit of a short commitment, and sometimes it can be, a short commitment can be tied to a low price or it can be tied to a high price. It depends on how confident you are. But these are some of the considerations. And you could have a few programs, not just one program, right? That you start with a low price, low commitment, and you move into a high price, high commitment program, which some of you may have already. But now how do you shift that? And the next thing to consider as you move from offline to online is this going to be ongoing, which means you meet once a week, you know, group call, or you meet once a month, one-on-one call, or is it going to be fixed, right? That means it is going to be 10 sessions, it's going to be 5 sessions, and after the 5 sessions, we are gone, or this is going to go on and on forever, you know? And it could be charging based on a subscription or a membership kind of a pricing strategy if it's ongoing, instead of a one-off or commitment of X number of hours, which you may be charging right now. So these are some of the things that you consider. Whether it's ongoing or whether it's fixed, a lot of it depends on what is the results that you're delivering as a coach. What are you leading them towards? What are you able to offer them, right? And the next thing to think about is, can they join anytime? You know, which means that it is rolling all the time. Can they join anytime? Or are they able to, or is it just a specific time that you have a mindfulness challenge, you have a fitness challenge, you have a leadership challenge, you know, that starts at a specific date, ends at a specific date. Everybody goes through it at the same time, same start date. You have your same scheduled items going in, and then you end together and you celebrate successes together. So is it a join anytime? Is it a join at a specific date? Or is it like somewhere in the middle, that there are some that you join at the start and then, you know, you have an onboarding process, right? That your onboarding is at the same time, that maybe you have an opening at an onboarding once a month, and after the onboarding, they join the main group that has a regular group coaching calls with you or something along those lines. So these are some of the things that you need to think about. The next one is whether do you want to have a community where all the people that you're coaching comes together and they start to share ideas, they support each other, that you kind of move the support away from just only you, but to the rest of the community? Or do you want just you, you know, doing all the work and doing all the support? So these are some of the things to talk about. And when you think about community or no community, another thing that comes is what is the platform of how you host this community? Is it in a WhatsApp group, professional, that some of you talked about in the group chat? Is it in a Facebook closed group? Is it in a LinkedIn group? Is it in a Slack channel? Is it in Telegram? You know, all these are the things that you've got to consider as well when you think of community. If you're working with corporate clients, the idea of community can be a little bit scary for people, right? And so it is important for you to start to see what are the platforms that have higher adoption rate, and Slack seems to be the one that is generally accepted in corporates that I work with. So do you want to have community or no community? And the next one is, are you going to have a done for you solution? That means you come into this, I'm going to do everything for you. So that's more like a consultancy solution, right? That I'm going to get all the things done. If you want me to coach you on operational efficiency, you know, setting up something, you know, so I will have a framework all done for you. You know, you just got to fill in the blank, or do you have to do it yourself, right? I give you all the things, I can coach you, I point you in the direction, and then you can do it on your own. So these are some of the things to think about as well. And last but not least, are you thinking to reach a global group, or are you more local, right? One of the benefits of going virtual, of course, is that you can increase your scale. But at the same time, the world could be so diverse, right? One of the things is time zone already is so different, because right now we are scheduling this time, and there are some people that may be like late in the evening, there are other people that may be early in the morning. So are you doing global, regional, or local, right? So these are things that you need to consider as you move from offline to online. The whole point I'm trying to say is people keep talking about offline, online, but it's not that straightforward as in, how do I just bring all my programs online? Do I stand in front and do a recording? No, there are some things that I want you to consider. And I just want to tell you that all these are in the link that I'm going to be giving you that you can download all these things. So don't worry about it, right? And I'll do my poor doodling to you as well and to send it to you. So don't worry about these things, all will be given to you that you can enhance your practice on your own. So these are the key considerations for you to move from offline to online in pivoting your delivery. So if I can summarize, right? If I can go back to these projects. So in summary, one of the key things then, what we have learned in our journey in trying to work with our clients, with my team of coaches, and in this current period of that virus VUCA times, how do we shift our practice? How do we conduct our business a little bit differently? How do I move my coaching practice to be a little bit more effective? And we've identified that while lead generation, while sales conversion system and solution clarity, so that we can get more leads, more clients, more profits are important, but this period is different. We need to be very focused and very targeted. And so one of the key things is to look at how we can protect, pivot, and profit. I didn't talk a lot about profit, but you get the general idea. Protecting yourself, you need to protect yourself first, your team and your clients. And in yourself is the 5 M's, right? That you need to protect your mindset, your thinking, to begin every day expecting that it's going to be a great day for you, that you're going to live a life of fulfillment, of purpose, that you're going to be creating an impact in someone else's life. Maybe it's just your spouse life, your children's life, or maybe it's just your pets, whatever it is, right? So that is one of the key things. And then you need to start looking at your mood, and music is something that I find very useful to lift my mood. Thanks for the people that have been sharing all the beautiful music that they have added, you know, and that's great. And the next one is your movement, stretch your body, wake up your body, and your meals, how you're feeding yourself. And the last one, momentum, 3 actions that you can do and you can get it done. And how do you protect your team? How do you protect your clients? Because in the world of darkness, your little spark of light becomes very bright in their world. And because coaches are not doing it just for the money, that we want to become useful, your service to other people, we need to take leadership right now and lead our team. And that is the protecting. Then we need to start looking at pivoting, right? How do we pivot our message? Are they in survival problem, or are they facing scaling problems? And then we alter and adjust our message accordingly. Because if you're speaking the wrong message to them, it's just going to fly over them. They're not going to get it, right? And how are you pivoting your solutions to reach these people? And most importantly, how are you pivoting your delivery? I went a little bit deeper into the delivery because a lot of people talk about offline, online, but there are that 12 key considerations for you to think about. So with that, I kind of, so maybe what I want you to do right now, right? I have a little bit of time before we go into the breakout. So, okay, let me just do this to you before I forget, right? So this is the, okay, so the I move it a little bit too fast. This is the link I hope you're able to see on the screen. This is the link for you to download the package. So it's igrow.sg/ICW 2020. And when you go to this link, you'll be able to, thanks Jira for putting the link over there. So I just need you to fill in a little bit of email because I'm going to be uploading whatever my doodlings are, and then I'm going to be sending it to you because I can't get it up right now. But the worksheets and all these are really there. Feel free to use those resources. I'll be really appreciate if you kind of point them back to me. And these are things that you can use to make your practice even better so that all of us can become a real force for good. And another shout out as well that I'm creating a closed Facebook group called Real Force for Good. And I envision this to be a community of coaches, trainers, and consultants to come together to share ideas how we can improve our practice and stuff like that. Please join to the group if you find it, if you want to be part of a community, right? And so all these things are inside that information. And yeah. So on that note, with 4 minutes of my time, right? With 4 minutes of my time, what I want you to think about is, maybe I'm going to put this, okay? I want you to think of what is one insight that you have gained, right? One insight. What is one goal for yourself in the next 30 days that you're going to set? And what is one action that you can take? So one insight, one goal, one action. And when you think of action, can I just ask you to think of, maybe I'll talk a little bit about simple and stretch. Simple is something that you can do in 15, 20 minutes. Stretch is something that takes a little bit more time. So think of simple actions first so they can celebrate success and achievement of those simple actions. So I'm going to put like 2 minutes of time, maybe 3 minutes of time to just kind of give you, to kind of wrap this up. Yeah. So one insight, one goal, and one action, right? One insight, one goal, and one action. So I'm going to put, if you look at my screen, there's a timer that's running, and I'm going to be playing a little bit of music, so don't be shocked if some music come out on your thing. It's a focus music, okay? So I'm going to be playing this. I hope you're able to hear. I'm sorry, I cannot reduce the volume, so I'll do away with the music if it annoys you, okay? So just a couple of minutes before I wrap up, one insight, one goal, one action, and somebody requested for me to go back to the previous slide. I'm just going to go into that very shortly, right? So this is the place that I can download igrow.sg, ICW 2020, right? So 3 minutes, 2 more minutes for you to think about what is one insight, one goal, one action. Thanks, Han. Get your momentum every day. 3 priorities, insight, action just got started. Thanks, Kevin, for responding to that. Actually, you all exceeded expectation. I'm not asking for you to key into the chat, you know, and you are so wonderful to just put it in. So if you do, please continue. If you don't feel peer pressured. It doesn't matter. And yeah, good. Camila, you can't join the breakout. It's all right. Yeah, it's fine. You're going to take action to reach out to my network, and that's brilliant, right? And you can start with simple things. How are you? How can I support you, right? 2 simple things. And number 2 is goals. Insight, goals, action, right? What is an insight? What is a goal, which is something that you set for yourself in the next 30 days? And what is an action that you will start doing so that you can be closer to achieving your goal? Sorry, I'm in my coaching mode, right? Cannot just, you're in an ICF conference. We cannot just leave you with just taking information. We need to get you into some activity, right? Adrian, he's like smiling. Yes. So good. Go starting a new series of 3 for that nomadic mindset. Wonderful. Yeah, Kevin, that's a brilliant one, right? And clients are in such a hard position. They do not feel comfortable sharing. That's true, right? Sometimes it's tough. And I guess the key thing, the outcome is not for them to share, Roberto, if I may add. The outcome is for us to be present by their side, to show that we are genuinely concerned about them and we want to support them. That is that goal. If they do share, that's brilliant. And how comfortable they are in sharing with you, a lot of it depends on our relationship with them, and relationship takes time to nurture. Thanks for asking that question. Coaching mood. Getting a team and a content together, that's great. Go through the pivot steps, yeah. Thanks, Serene. Good. Go review and absorb your materials. Thanks, Sam. Yeah. Done is better than perfect. Yeah, exactly. Get started because it takes time for us to gain mastery, right? We don't become masters at the start. And so it is getting started that is one step towards gaining mastery. Good, wonderful. Yeah. Produced top of June. Celebration of the book launch. Yes, Kevin, you know, we will celebrate your book launch together as well as a community. When it launched, send to us, you know, we'll celebrate your joy. Yeah. Marie, you were asking about the name of the Facebook page again. It's a group, so it's called I Grow Real Force for Good, right? I Grow Real Force for Good. Sorry, I'm like, I have a thing for the words because I just want to remind myself that I want to be that. So it's I Grow Real Force for Good. Thanks, Jada, for putting that in here. Submit your master thesis on psychology. Wonderful, Miwa, you know, we are backing you and we support you as a community. Go for it, yeah? And it's always scary, right? Looking at all the research and don't know whether it's good enough or not and mulling through all the data, you know, and analysis and stuff. Yeah, good. Yeah, 1 year anniversary. Good. Yeah. So I think with that, I crossed a little bit of my time. I just want to thank everyone for being so participative in answering in all the chat. It's so exciting seeing the chat explode with all the responses, you know. And I just want to thank you for all your comments. The slides are for you to download. Please join the Facebook group. We can become a community together. And I'm going to hand the time back to Adrian, right? So thanks, Adrian. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Ben. Thank you so much for an enlightening session on how to pivot, protect, and profit as coaches. My biggest quotation takeaway today is imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. Wow. Okay, that's going. I mean, we're going to have a new image, and we're going to use that on our LinkedIn page for ICW if we can. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, it's still coming through. Wonderful, great. All right, it leaves me now, if, just give me a second here while I share my screen. I see, okay, good. Let me get this. Okay, it's coming up, there we go. All right, leaves me now to acknowledge our sponsors, and also right after that, the CCU instructions, and we go into breakouts, yeah? So once again, I'd like to thank our platinum sponsor, Emergenetics, who will be giving away a $350 goodie bag to every attendee. And please look out for that email that's coming your way next week for the invitation to complete your profile, the online resources, and also to that special webinar. Also a big shout out, a big thank you to our other sponsors, the coaching app. So that's www.thecoachingapp.com, the C-Suite Executive Coach in your pocket. We've also got Starting Point, the authorized provider of everything DISC certification and solutions, 5 behaviors of a cohesive team, and building trust solutions. Big thank you also to the Coach Partnership, who brought the Newfield suite of coach training programs to Asia since 2010. All right, so we would like to extend an invitation to everyone. You know, we at ICF and also the ICW team, we're a bunch of party animals. You don't know what we do after all the evening webinars. We sit around, we drink virtually, we go crazy. And so we want to continue that tradition of drinking after the last webinar. And this evening, after the MCC panel, we want to party hard. We've got our DJ that's going to be spinning music this evening. And so we want you to join us at 8 o'clock, please. Yeah. Come in ICF colors in either blue, yellow, or gold. Come in your long dress. Gentlemen, come in your tuxedos. Bring that bottle of wine, that champagne, that gin, that whiskey. Bring whatever you have. I know, I think, was it Linda who wrote to me from South Africa? She said she's going dry down there already because of the lockdown and she doesn't have enough. Yeah, Linda, just break the cupboard and get whatever you can. Oh, she's right there. Hi, Linda. All right, everyone. Time to let you know about the CCEU. Oh, her glass is empty. Maybe we can send some over to her. Harry, you got some gin over? Huh? Harry, our bartender, will take care of that for you. Okie dokes, time for CCEU news. So here you go. There's the QR code. Oh, I see a camera coming right in front of me. Geez. And also we'll have the URL that will be posted onto the chat box. Okay. Good. Coming right up, 6:30, just a couple hours from now, we've got the Journey to MCC. You know, this is like, you know, the Golf Masters. So this is the Coach Masters. They're coming up at 6:30. We've got all of them. I mean, it's amazing. Every one of them has set aside time this evening to be with us. So I'd like to invite you to join the Masters on their journey. All right. Well, we are also inviting everyone to share your thoughts, your reactions, and your learnings from this webinar and from all our other webinars on social media. So whenever you post, please hashtag ICW SG 2020 on either Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. You know what? In true Singaporean style, we're giving away money. So we're giving away $30 of an NTUC voucher to the ICF Singapore member with the most posts. Okay, we do have a few front runners right now, but it's still not too late to just, you know, hit those social media websites. All right, so with that, I just want to say a very big thank you to everyone. A big thank you to Ben for spending time with us this afternoon. Ben, your dad says hi too. We're going to go into breakouts now, so we're going to pretty much call it as it is, and please enjoy the breakouts. We're going to leave it open a little bit longer so that, you know, you can take the time to have your conversations and enjoy yourselves. We'll see you back here at 6:30, 6 o'clock for mindfulness. Ciao.